Hey everyone, it's Dr. Linh Love here. I am a doctor of Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and today I'm going to be talking about 5 books that we use in Chinese medicine within our field to learn more about Chinese medicine. I'm going to start with a very beginner book and then go to a more specialized book about women's health. So this is really specific about women's health, and it's going to be giving you a foundation of what we use as practitioners when we first start Chinese medicine school. So the first book that I'm going to start with is one of the books that we use as a foundational book. Again, I'm starting from the very most basic book that we use in the beginning of school, which is this book. It's called The Foundations of Chinese Medicine by Giovanni Mascioscia. This is a really powerful book because it's very, very simple. It's very basic, but at the same time, it gives you a lot of material that even as an acupuncturist, you go back and you refer to all the time, especially when you're studying for boards or throughout school. You're always kind of going back and you're thinking about what are the basics, what are the foundational principles that I need to know about the material that we're learning, because if you can break it down into the very basic materials, then I feel like you can start to get the pieces of Chinese medicine. For example, if you have a patient that is presenting with many different symptoms, then when you can go into this book and say, oh, the nails represent this aspect of the body and the eyes represent this aspect of the body, so they must be experiencing a blood deficiency. So these give you the foundational principles that you need to know as a basis of learning Chinese medicine and learning how to use Chinese medicine in practice. And if you keep going throughout the book itself, it really builds on, like, you start to learn about like pathologies and how pathologies happen in the body. It talks a lot about pulses, diagnosis, tongue as well. And Dr. Giovanni was really known to create material like this. And yeah, it keeps going into like different patterns of different organs and herbs as well, just as a really base foundational textbook to learn about Chinese medicine. And I think I got this book when I first started Chinese medicine school. I think the first semester you get this book and you're like, okay, I'm going in, I'm really learning it. And this book, as somebody who has gone through the program of Chinese medicine school and I'm now a practitioner, I still refer to this book. Even when I'm teaching and I'm sharing wisdom, I really still refer back to this book pretty often. So the next book that I'm going to talk about is going to be one step above that, which is going to be more of an internal medicine book. And it looks like this. It's the Clinical Handbook of Internal Medicine. This is essentially like, this is a really powerful book that Chinese medicine practitioners use to treat different conditions and disorders that we see with patients and with our clients. But essentially, this book is like truly like a medical book where you can go in and see different conditions and see how Chinese medicine practitioners would essentially treat this using acupuncture and herbs and different lifestyle recommendations. It also talks about the different patterns as well. It really breaks down like, okay, if you had someone with a wind cold attack, which we would say is like a common cold or just, getting a flu or something of that sort, getting sick, this would essentially break down, okay, what would that look like? What would that manifest like on the tongue and the pulse? What herbs would you use? What acupuncture points would you use? And it breaks that down and gives more commentary about why you would use those things. So this is definitely a useful book for those who are more serious about learning about Chinese medicine, and definitely one of those books that you use in the program within school pretty often. So I would say that this is a really, really important book, and look how cool it is. It's just like this beautiful red textbook. It's like filled with information. There's been so many times where I've referred to this book to write cases and to think about what I'm going to do with clients and patients. So it's definitely a really, really powerful book. And I love that it just gives commentary and it gives explanation, which I think is super important as well. I'm going to switch it up and go to herbs. We're going to go to this book, which is the Formula and Strategies book. This is by Bensky and Ellis and a couple other authors. This is a really important book within Chinese medicine. There's also the Materia Medica as well, which we use a lot to learn about different herbs and the individual herbs and their benefits. We use this to talk about and learn the herbal formulas, which are so important within Chinese medicine and also in terms of diagnosis for our patients. So in this book, what I love about these books too is it has these like really nice, it has nice paper. Like, I don't know. I also just love the feeling of paper. I'm not just a book person, but I love this book because it really breaks down each formula and it breaks down why you're going to use certain formulas and also the nuances. It's going to talk about the different herbs you're going to use. It talks about the diagnosis. It talks about the dosages. That's what I mean, the dosages, not the diagnosis. It does talk about the diagnosis. It really gives you like indications why you would use this formula over another one. And gives you an analysis of the formula, gives you cautions and contraindications, which is super important, and commentary, like historical references to this formula. And it's like categorized in different categories as well, which is really awesome. It makes it easy to find formulas. I actually love having these on online versions or electronic versions just because it's like faster for me to like find things, but I also just love the book too because it's the book, you know. So you can really use this book to identify what herbal formulas you want to use for your clients, and that's really important, right? Like when we're using herbs and we're prescribing herbs for people, and even if we're just like want to learn more about herbs, this is a really great resource, as well as the Materia Medica. And this is something that we use while we're later in the program to start learning about internal medicine and learning about how to use herbal formulas to treat patients in different conditions. So this is a really great book as well. And then I'm going to transition into some women's health. I'm going to start with obviously the textbook that we like to refer to, which is the OBGYN textbook in Chinese medicine. This is also written by Matsuota, and this is a really powerful book. It is all about women's health. It's all about OBGYN, pregnancy, fertility, all those things. It talks a lot about different patterns that people may experience, different herbs that are great, different acupuncture points that are great. It talks about the menstrual cycle and how Chinese medicine sees that. It gives a lot of case studies of what this practitioner did a lot in his practice and what worked and what didn't work. There's a lot of commentary. There's a lot of just magic and just medicine in this book. I really love this book. I have definitely referred to this book throughout my time as a practitioner and throughout school for sure, because women's health has always been something that's interested me, and definitely I've used this personally as well, just like learning about what different conditions impact women's health and how we can treat it from a Chinese medicine perspective. So this is one of those books for those of us who want to learn about women's health. These are going to give us the conditions and the foundations to understand more and to build off of. So this is a really great book. And then I'm going to talk about another book that is also for Chinese medicine practitioners, but also for anyone that's like really interested in learning more about Chinese medicine and women's health. I've flipped through this book. I've definitely read like large pieces of this book, but what I love is that it breaks down to different age groups. It's called 7 Times a Woman, and it breaks down to different age groups. So like, let's just say you're age 35, age 28, right? Like it's just different. It's going to give you like different cycles of what's happening, what is going on health-wise with somebody, the changes that they're here to expect, the different lifestyle recommendations, and also it gives a lot of information about fertility, pregnancy, gives a lot of like massage and like qigong movements and things to strengthen like the vaginal walls and the yoni. There's herbal formulas for hair. There's detoxing foods in here that talks about seaweed and mung beans. And yeah, there's just so much juiciness in this book. I remember reading this book and just being like really inspired by how holistic it was and how much it gave. And it's all about like just incorporating the holistic ancient wisdom all in this book. That's from Chinese medicine, herbs, acupuncture. Yeah, it also breaks down like some patterns in here too. So this is a good book for anyone that is, you know, really interested in learning about women's health, really interested in Chinese medicine, and want sort of like a more, not textbooky, but more like easier way to digest the things. I would recommend this book. It's really great. And so those are the 5 books that I'm recommending. I've shown you a really basic book. I've shown you more of a middle sort of moderate book that we use within Chinese medicine, and then also just more specialized books about women's health because that's what I'm interested in. Those are the books I've used a lot. So those are the 5 books that I would recommend for anyone that is interested in Chinese medicine, want to learn more from the different levels as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care.